Postpartum Essentials. You don't think you're going to be in pain, but you will be. Underwear package. This is a whole package that you're going to create in your underwear to wear for at least the first few weeks at postpartum. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to do my postpartum essentials. If you haven't already, click up here to watch my postpartum video about my recovery and what I went through postpartum. If you didn't know, I had a baby about 4 months ago. His name is Ezra, and he was 5 pounds 8 ounces, so he was a small baby, and I think that really played a large part in why my postpartum recovery was fairly easy. I also only had about 2 tears. One was an inner small tear and one was actually a cut that the doctor made because Ezra's head wasn't fitting through the birth canal. And so I guess it's technically an episiotomy, but I had some stitches from that. And so that is also a good foundation for you to understand what my postpartum journey was like and why I had certain essentials versus others. So if you're interested, then keep on watching. So the first category of postpartum essentials is for pain relief. Now at the hospital, they will give you Advil, and the nurse will come in and give it to you about every, I think, 6 or 12 hours. And take the Advil because you don't think you're going to be in pain, but you will be. And the Advil helps mask a lot of the pain and help you to recover and get rest because you just went through a pretty traumatic bodily experience, and you're going to need Advil to recover from the soreness, swelling, aches and pains down there and your uterus and your stomach. So definitely take the Advil. And when you get home, make sure you have Advil, or if you prefer Tylenol, some sort of pain relief. For the first week postpartum, I took an Advil every day because I still had some lingering soreness, aches, and I realized when I didn't take it, I would feel just not 100% down there, and so the Advil really helped me to get through the day, and I had to take care of a newborn, so I had to be up and about. So make sure you have Advil at home. It'll be really helpful. So next is an ice pack. This is one that the hospital gave me. It basically, you crack it and then it becomes cold. fridamom also has a bunch of these, but you can use these to help soothe your down there area. And a lot of the postpartum essentials are really for helping to take care of your nether regions because that's where the baby came out. Now, ice packs help because you're really sore and inflamed. It helps to reduce the swelling. I would say that I only used this when I was in the hospital, so for about like 2.5 days. But when I came home, I stopped using this because I didn't really need to. I think again because I didn't have that traumatic of a birth experience, I didn't really need ice packs that often. So I would say don't purchase any if your hospital already gives it to you. That's pretty much all you need. The ice packs do feel a little uncomfortable because, as you can imagine, it's a hard ice pack that you're putting onto a sore and tender area, but it does feel good because it's cooling, and you kind of get used to it after a while. Okay, next is what I like to call the underwear package. This is a whole package that you're going to create in your underwear to wear for at least the first few weeks at postpartum. So a lot of people talk about these mesh underwear. You're going to get them from the hospital, and they're basically like boy shorts. They call them disposable. I mean, they're not like paper, so really you can save them. And I would honestly think if you want to be more environmental to just get some boy short panties. I think a lot of people like the disposable aspect of this because if it gets bloody, you can just throw them away, but I'm sure if you wash it, it'll come out. So this is what they look like. They're actually pretty comfortable. People also recommend the Depends, but I would say the mesh underwear actually keeps everything in your package together more compactly because the Depends underwear, which these are the ones that I got, they're more loose. So they're basically a giant diaper, and it's like a built-in pad, so you don't need to add extra pads. However, you can see the pad inside. Because it kind of hangs, and everything, because the package is so heavy, would just sort of hang and not be close, tight up onto my nether regions. And that's why I liked the mesh underwear more, because it was much tighter, so it kept everything more secure and in place, because as you'll see, you're going to be putting a lot of things down there. I will say though, for the Depends underwear, I like these more for overnight because it's a built-in pad, so it'll most likely capture all of your leaks. And so sleeping for however many hours, you know, it's a lot easier to have this rather than having to replace the pad on the mesh underwear. So that's the difference between the Depends and the mesh underwear. Again, I think if I had to choose one or the other, I would just stick with the mesh underwear, but the Depends is also a great option if you already bought them. I think I used the Depends maybe for the first week, and then after that I really didn't need it anymore. Maybe not even the first week. So one pack is definitely enough. Okay, next are pads. So these are the pads that the hospital will give you. They are pretty large and they're very thick. I wish they had wings, but they don't. Also the stickiness was not that sticky. But basically how you create your package is that you have either your mesh underwear or your Depends. Then on top of that, you're gonna put a pad. And for the first, few days, I definitely use these larger ones from the hospital. And sometimes you can even double up on the pads, depending on how heavy your bleeding is. So for the first 3 days after giving birth, I use these big pads. Then for like the next week or so, I use these orange overnight pads from Always. And then after that, for the next few weeks, until about 3 weeks postpartum, I use these green Always pads, which are like the medium-sized ones, which I normally use for a period. And then after that, I was able to move on to just panty liners, because you do have some residual blood and other things that kind of come out. So it's useful to use these towards the end. So make sure you have enough pads at home. Again, I basically went from the hospital ones to the overnight ones to medium size to panty liners. So after you have your pad, next you're going to put some witch hazel pads. So I have the fridamom perennial cooling pad liners, and I won't take these out because I don't want to dry, but they're basically a liner that goes across the pad. And the other popular one are tucks, but tucks come in circles and you have to put multiple tucks on the pad. And I liked the fact that the fridamom one is just one strip, so I don't have to stack them on, worry about them falling off, because again, everything's kind of loose sometimes when you're putting it on, especially if you're using the Depends underwear, and you don't want things sliding around. You want to make sure they are stuck on there securely, and so that is why I liked having the liners. So the perennial pads, or the witch hazel pads, are really supposed to help cool, soothe. It's similar to the ice pack. Honestly, I didn't really feel like I needed it that much. Maybe certain days it felt a little more dry down there and kind of irritated, and so I liked having the pads, but I definitely didn't use them every day. I definitely didn't use them every single time I went to the bathroom. In the beginning, maybe I did, but I started realizing I didn't do that much. And so depending on how your recovery is, it may not be completely necessary for getting the witch hazel pads. And one pack definitely lasts me. I still have some left. Another thing about the witch hazel pads are that it's soaked, and so you do have that kind of cold, wet feeling when you put it up to your nether regions. And so just keep that in mind if you don't really like that kind of like wet, cold feeling. Some people might enjoy it because it's so irritated down there, but it was a little bit of a shock every time I put my underwear back on. So after you have the pad, the liner, you then spray DERMOPLAST. DERMOPLAST is a numbing itch spray. They also give this to you at the hospital, at least the one that I went to. You can either spray it directly onto your nether regions, or you could spray it onto your pad. I just sprayed it directly. It's supposed to help relieve pain from itches, from cuts, scrapes, especially if you have stitches. These would be useful and helpful. Again, I'm not sure if it did that much for me because I don't think I had that much pain, and really the Advil probably took away most of it, but I still sprayed this just in case. But I definitely did not use the full can. I bought one and I didn't even open it because I used the one that the hospital gave me. So you may not even need this, and if you don't want to purchase it, you can wait to see if the hospital gives it to you. Okay, so now that the underwear package is done, I also want to talk about when you're just in general using the restroom. So basically every time you go to the bathroom, it's a whole ordeal because not only is it tough to use the restroom, you have to pretty much replace your pads and do all of the package again each time. So first I would say make sure you take your stool softener. At the hospital, they will give you stool softener, so make sure you take it. And even then, I took mine for about a month afterwards just in case. I took one a day. I just got the Amazon stool softener online and it worked out perfectly fine for me. I just didn't want to have any issues. I didn't want to have any problems straining, which could cause hemorrhoids. So just make sure you take your stool softener. Next is the famous peri bottles. So the one that the hospital will give you kind of looks like a condiment squeeze bottle and it just shoots straight up. But the thing that people like about the fridamom one, or I got a more generic brand, is it has this curved shape so that you're able to spray at an angle, because it's a little harder to aim with the regular one that the hospital gives you. So I definitely like the shape and everything, but my only concern with this is that it leaked a lot. I looked online, other people had similar issues with it. I don't know why some people did and some people didn't. And I feel like no one else really mentioned this, but basically every time you spray, whenever you would come back down or move it back upright, it would always leak from this area. And I don't know if it's the contraption. I tried everything. I tried straightening it. I tried doing other things. People said if you filled it all the way to the top, every time it leaked. And so it would be very messy and kind of annoying. And people said the fridamom one leaked too. So I don't think it was because I got the generic brand. But it is helpful. You use this every time you go to the restroom because you can't wipe fully when you pee or when you poop. So instead you spray with a bottle, then you dab with toilet paper because of it's just everything is swollen, you have stitches, you just don't want to irritate that area, and that's why you pat after you wash yourself. It's basically like a mini bidet. I used this for almost 2 months afterwards because I thought it was okay and I stopped using it, and then I would kind of get irritated down there because I was wiping, I think, with rough toilet paper, and so I had to go back to using this. But after about 2 months, I think I had completely healed at that point, and so I didn't have to use this anymore. Okay, so those are all of my postpartum essentials. Another tip I would have is that if you can find a box like this, I just use an old shipping box that I got sent to keep all of your postpartum essentials. You can just put this in the bathroom, and if you have multiple bathrooms, you can carry it from bathroom to bathroom. That way you just have like a kit of everything you need, and I thought this was really helpful. So I would put all my pads in here, my DERMOPLAST, my witch hazel liners. That way when I would use the restroom, I just had everything and I would just take it, create my package, and be set. It does take some practice. You will have a lot more time. You will need a lot more time when you go to the restroom because everything just takes longer, but it doesn't last forever. And really I would say the first week or 2 weeks is when you have the most need for all of this stuff, and then after that you only use a few of the things. Really the peri bottle is the thing I use the longest. So if you have any questions, please comment below. Let me know if there's any essentials that you felt were helpful in postpartum that maybe I didn't realize or didn't mention. And of course, please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!